It's time now for an in-depth look at the market action today, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, global strategist at Kiwoom Securities. Mr. Yu, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
So here we are, the first trading day on Wall Street after the G20 summit, and a new record high for the S&P, the Nasdaq up by 1%, the Dow also up almost 0.5%. What's the story there?
Yes, as you said, the U.S. market's breaking the peak continuously. Over the weekend, the United States and China agreed on to restart the trade talks after President Donald Trump offered concessions, including no new additional tariffs regarding the 300 billion won worth of the goods. And also, they have said that there will be easing of the restriction on tech company Huawei in order to reduce the tensions. Also, China agreed to make unspecified new purchases of the U.S. farm goods in return to returning to the negotiation tables. Of course, there's no deadline was set for the progress of the deals, but nevertheless, it seems that the world's two largest economies remain to be in a negotiation terms, and is definitely positive news versus the very poor numbers coming through, poor results coming through on May. So now with this is clearly a positive news for the global equity market, and the global equity market shared on that. We've seen U.S. market rising to the record highs. Also, most of the other Asian markets did a very strong run. Particularly Chinese market did 2% plus rise yesterday, and today it's pretty much flat, but nevertheless it seems to be very strong. Shenzhen market showed 3.8% rise yesterday, and today is up again 0.2%. The Nikkei also did quite strong run yesterday of 2% plus, and then today it's flat. So everybody is expecting that the possibility of the improvement that related to the trade issues between two countries. But as for Korea, it seems to be one of the worst performing markets due to the new worries about Japanese ban on selling IT components to Korea. And also there was news about the new drug, a third trial test coming in poor, resulting into very high level of doubts in regards to the drug industry in Korea. So overall, most of the markets are doing very well, except Korean market at this point in time.
Yeah, so let's talk about the issue with Japan now. Those tensions spilling over in the form of harsh new trade restrictions, which it's being said amount to sanctions. What's happening here, and where do you see it going?
Yes, Japan will be saying that there will be tightening curbs on exports of high-tech materials, used smartphone displays and chips to South Korea amid growing dispute over the South Korean forced work for Japanese firms during the World War II. Now, this will result into some of the selling, the process will be quite slow for the Korean tech giants, including Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix and LG Display. The clearly tighter export controls by Japan will have negative impact overall. Now, this kind of steps came because Tokyo were saying that they're quite frustrated with the lack of action done by Seoul over the issue stemming from the top court ruling last October that ordered the Nippon Steel to compensate for former forced laborers. Now, I think that though the Japanese probably additional policies will not be coming through because this is basically breaking apart of the supply chain in regards to the tech industry. And the political backing in regards to this kind of policy is not going to be very strong within Japan either. Particularly, most of the goods are sold to U.S., and any slowdown in terms of the selling of the IT components and IT semiconductor side will be negative for U.S., and U.S. will probably put pressures on Japan not to do this. And within even Japan, I think this is all about political issues rather than any economic issues. Where the economic, the chains that we're seeing in terms of supply chains, it is very tight between Korea and Japan. So I doubt that this is going to go through in terms of any additional new measures to prohibit in terms of selling. So I think this is probably temporary news that resulting into the share price performance. But in a longer term basis, it should be okay with some changes that are happening in terms of policies.
Yeah, maybe no new measures, but pretty severe as they are already, it seems. And the Korean government is responding in that spirit. They're going to try to come up with measures to respond, and that could take this to the WTO. There are concerns this could go on for a while, though, in some quarters. Is there anything else that can or needs to be done?
Yes. As you said, the materials to be restricted are some of the three specific related to the semiconductor business. All this is where Japan produces anywhere between 70 to 90% of the market share for the semiconductor side. So sources of one of the Korean side have said that they have some rooms for stockpiles, so they can last for a few months. Then they have to probably purchase through other means. Now, this move by Japan seems to be the same as if you hear that China was saying that they will try to use the rare earth materials against U.S. in case of the tension accelerating. But if you look at it, China really did not use that policies too further because this will result into losses of the market share for these goods. Now, Korea clearly needs to bring this up to the WTO, as well as probably Korea needs to invest quite a lot of money in regards to the production side in terms of the parts related to the semiconductors. So this will be fast. It will probably create faster moving away from Japanese dependency of the parts. We've seen that process happen since 1980s. As the Korea's IT sector's dependencies to the parts to the Japan have been reduced down to quite significantly from the previously around 40% dependency to down to less than 10% now. So we think that this is just going to accelerate the process of that. So yes, first Korea probably need to bring this up to the WTO. Also, the Korean companies will be probably moving away from the dependencies to Japan, so which will be on a longer term basis even negative news to Japan. So that's why I don't think that Japan will be doing any additional measures, but they'll probably solve this problem as quickly as possible.
All right, Mr. Yu, things getting a little tense out there, but hopefully they will be resolved. We'll look on the bright side there. Thanks for your insights today, as always.
Thank you very much.